Christine?
Okay, so I know that like a couple of times I have been out like in public, like when I've been to New York City or a bigger city, and I've seen Black people, and I know that like I immediately get afraid, and they're not doing anything to me, so it's totally silly that I'm afraid, but I feel like I've just been afraid, and I know that logically there's no reason to be afraid, and I feel like that's so even though I'm not interacting with them, I'm still being racist.
You know what? I'm sending you a big old hug through Zoom because most folks would not even really admit to that. Most white folks wouldn't, although we know that it's true. So thank you for your honesty. And were you brought up in an all-white neighborhood? Have you tried to examine why you have that apprehension when you're around Black people?
My parents were very liberal, and so we did have some Black friends. But when I look back at my childhood, I can also remember my mom saying things that were racist, and I don't even know if she knew that they were racist. But now that I'm a parent, we try to do a lot of self-examination at our house. So, but I know that there's still things that I say and do that I don't know.
Well, that is awesome. And I tell you, one of the first things that racism is a learned behavior. We are taught that. Not it doesn't have to be that you were somebody just set you in a room and taught this nonsense to you. It's taught to you by how the United States operates. It's taught to you in how history is taught. It's taught to you how you can move as a white person through this country and the world in in a bubble, if you will, whereas other people have a totally different experience. So part of that is asking yourself, why am I afraid? Right? Why am I afraid? Do you have any Black friends?
Um, One, I live in Utah, which is probably the whitest state ever. So kind of hard, which is maybe one of the reasons why I'm here.
Yes, well, the good thing about you being here, you now have a few Black friends that you have just met today. And it is our goal to help you, through this because you have been taught that there was something evil or bad about Black people, that Black people were a threat to you. And that's so far from the truth, in that a Black person would probably come to your rescue quicker than a white person would in any given situation. So,
Miss
and
Cheryl,
yes.
this is Patrice. I so appreciate that no one has to sit you down and tell you. And I just remember throughout my childhood noticing, because my father didn't believe in the TV, he called it the idiot box, how on the news they would, if the person who is suspected of doing something was Black, they would say Black. But when they were white, they would just talk about the thing that happened. And so if you weren't looking at the TV, you heard a crime and Black and a crime and Black and a crime and Black and some other crime, and you didn't hear anything. So but you weren't going, oh, but they're white. Let me remember that. So it's so much we get taught that's not even directly like, let me teach you something.
Yes, subliminal brainwashing. So, Christina, I am now one of your Black friends, and we will be having more conversations, and we're gonna, we'll dig through this. But trust and believe, everything you've been taught negative about Black people is a straight out lie. And we're here to help you with that, and so that you can tell other folks in your family and your social circle, oh, no, but my girlfriend Cheryl, she's not like that, and the folks, her family is not like that. So so that's what this is all about, because when we talk about eradicating racism, it's all about relationships. If you've never had a intimate relationship or a true friendship with somebody of a non-white person, then you only know what somebody told you or what you read. So That's what we're here for, to build some real relationships, so you know that all of that nonsense is just that, nonsense.
Yesterday, I have 2 horses. And yesterday I was looking online for a trainer who could help me with one of my horses. And so I asked myself, because all of them were either white males or white females. And I asked myself, would you be okay with a black trainer? Because it would be very unusual to have a black horse trainer. And I realized, I thought, would they be able to, I'm known as a difficult person. I have to put that in. Everybody I've ever worked with my horses thinks I'm hard to work with, but I just think I'm honest and straightforward, and so I wondered if I found a black horse trainer, would they think I was racist? Would race come into the conversation? So I couldn't find a black horse trainer, but I just asked myself that question: would I censor myself because I would think, well, what if I complain about this? Are they going to think I'm racist? When I normally complain about everything with everybody.
So it wouldn't be a need for you to be any different. You know, you shouldn't have to speak to someone black any different than you would speak to a person that's white. But I will tell you about people and what I call being able to read a person's energy.
Mhm.
We as Black people, we know the difference between a racist person and a person who is just being themselves and gonna tell it like it is.
Uh-huh.
Those are two totally different energies. So I would say to you, that's something you shouldn't have to worry about. But I would like to challenge you to do some research on Black cowboys and
I
Black.
did. I
Yes,
did.
because all of that came from Black folks. Yes. So all you see in news media, whatever, it's always white folks doing the horse training, and most of the jobs around horses are given to white people. But trust and believe, there are probably thousands of Black folks that know more about horses than you would ever imagine.
Okay. Just not close enough to me to come visit me, but I hear what you're
Maybe.
saying.
I'm gonna tell you, maybe. I don't know if you reached out across social media or how
I
would.
just looked on the Pirelli website because I want a Pirelli trainer. I need a Pirelli person.
Yeah, well, see, that's probably one of those roadblocks that, a racist move to keep Black people out of that. So I would say to you, go outside of that norm, and I bet you may be able to find someone to, non-white, to help you with that. What do you all think? Anybody know? Put it in chat if you know anybody, to train horses that's non-white,
They have to be in Washington, though. Washington
Yeah,
State.
yes. Okay, put that in chat so we know what we're looking for, right?
Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for your honesty. Loretta.
Thank you. It actually took me a little bit longer than I thought to answer that question, because typically I've always thought of myself as not racist. What I'm finding, though, is that the older I get, I seem to mirror some of the sentiments that my father had, who he was born in the 20s, so he went through, as far as social issues, he lived through them. And he was not very fond of white people. What I'm finding, that as I get older, I seem to be operating more out of a sense of frustration. Again, I wouldn't classify myself as being prejudiced, but sometimes I can hear, I'll see something happen either in the media, or what's happening here locally in Atlanta. And, I hear myself saying those same things that my dad said. I really don't, like I said, in terms of frustration, which is one of the things I think that we were going to cover. Like, it frustrates me here in Georgia that a number of counties have decided not to teach critical race theory.
You're Black, so you can't be a racist. You can be prejudiced, you can have biases, but only what racism and white supremacy are synonymous. So there's no way you can be a racist. You don't have the power to affect uh, uh, any non-black person, you know. Yeah, so you can't, but you can have prejudices. But I always ask black people, is it really that you are being prejudiced, or are you reacting out of reality? We know the reality is white people have terrorized our community since they enslaved, kidnapped, and brought us to this country. So to be afraid of them is not, to me, being prejudiced or biased. I mean, this is an action out of fact that white people are a threat to us, to our being, to everything about us. So to say that you have those thoughts, oh no, don't deny those. Those are real. And in us being black in America and this world, we have to finesse whiteness on a daily basis in order to make sure we come home alive. So being biased, oh no. That has nothing to do with prejudice, none of racism. You can't be racist, sweetie. That's called survival. Having those thoughts are part of the survival mechanism of you being a human being and knowing what happens to people with your skin color.
I was born in 1960. I'm 60 years old and was taught racism at the knee of my father. So I've done just so many racist things in my life. I've tried very hard to move away from that and do good work. I worked in the community college system for years to create programs that provide access to low income and underserved students, and have helped thousands of students. But I worry that that help really gave the colleges an avenue to put Black students in lesser degree areas. And I am working to try to rectify that from outside of the system and having little success. But, you know, I certainly had used the N-word. I think, you know, I can't even list all the times when I was a kid. I haven't used that for years, but I then, you know, taught while I was doing my work that you don't see color. So, you know, and that was wrong too. That makes people feel less than when you don't see them, hear them, and recognize them. So I'm trying hard to do the work. I'm doing a lot of reading. I've been tweeting a list of what folks can do for Juneteenth as anti-racist activities.
Yes.
And so I've been putting it on every famous person's tweet, whether it's relevant to their conversation or not.
Love it. That's good. That's great work. So we really appreciate that. And I want to say I appreciate you being so genuine with your conversation. And that's why we talk about racism, that you're taught that, right? You're taught that. And so you have to be re-educated away from all of those misconceptions that you were taught. I see Nicole said, I'm not sure I understand what you're saying, Cheryl, and may have misunderstood. I thought anyone of any race can be racist. No. And a racist and a white supremacist, those are synonymous, right? So in order for you to be a racist in this country and in this world where white people are supposedly the majority and the superior race, only white people can be racist. They're the only race that can affect everybody else.
We've had the power and control of the structure. Sorry, I overtalked you. I thought you were,
oh no, you're fine.
You paused. I'm sorry. We've, as whites, we've had the control mechanisms. It's been white people in the government. It's been white people leading the institutions. And so it is required that you have that superior hand in controlling the levers of society, that when you use them to hurt other people of other colors, that creates a racist society and racist people of
Yeah.
that group that have done that.
Yeah, the
And
majority
so,
group. But here's what I want you to be clear on, is that all races can push a white supremacy agenda. So you could be Black and push a totally white supremacy agenda in everything that you do. You can be Asian and put forth the white supremacist agenda. So you are putting forth that racist agenda, but you don't have the capacity to be a racist. You could be prejudiced, you could be biased, but you don't have the power as a group of people to affect another group. Now, if it was reversed and it was Blacks as the majority, the ruling class, then Blacks could be racist. They would be racist if that was what they were doing, because they would have the power to really affect someone else.